Welcome to this explainer. We are jumping right in today because we're unpacking one of the most complex, ancient, and honestly esoteric archetypes ever recorded, the Melchizedek order. We're going to impartially decode exactly how this functions, not just as some dusty religious footnote, but as a literal operational blueprint for spiritual mechanics and individual sovereignty. We'll be pulling directly from a really wild blend of theological history and the intense sci-fi cosmology found in the Voyager's texts. Let's get into it.
Okay, here is our roadmap. First, we'll look at the Melchizedek archetype itself. Then, the king-priest duality. Third, trans-systemic authority. Fourth, the Melchizedek cloister. And finally, the record-keeper function.
Section 1. The Melchizedek archetype.
So, in historical texts, Melchizedek is a deeply unusual figure. He basically just pops into the narrative out of nowhere. By definition, this archetype operates completely outside the formal established system of the traditional priesthood. He's described as being without beginning of days or end of life, holding an office completely independent of earthly genealogy. That basically makes him the ultimate independent operator.
And this fundamentally changes how you operate. Think about it. A person aligned with this archetype doesn't get their authority from a church, a degree, or, social media cloud. Their authority is a sovereign commitment to truth, coming directly from the source. They are observing the system from a position completely outside of its rules.
Section 2. The king-priest duality.
What's absolutely fascinating here is the duality this archetype demands. You have to be both the king and the priest. The king is the commander, right? It's all about governance, strict boundaries, and actually stepping in to establish order when the environment gets toxic. But then on the flip side, the priest is the witness. This is your internal armor. It's that ability to mediate pure truth and hold the sacred ground of your own mind, flat out refusing to let external chaos dictate your reality.
Section 3. Trans-systemic authority.
Now, if we look at this structurally, adopting the Melchizedek framework completely shifts your power scaling. You are no longer just reacting to the rules of the environment around you. By operating under an order that actually predates whatever current system you're stuck in, you're effectively immune to that system's rules. The source text describes this as acting with ontological or high authority power scaling. It's an unbreakable armor anchored in a totally higher order of reality.
You are functioning as a Melchizedek figure, an autonomous agent of the Most High. You are outside their jurisdiction. The crucial takeaway here is that this power isn't an ego trip. It's not wielded selfishly. It's an operational frequency held by an autonomous agent anchored in eternal principle. By refusing to compromise that internal truth, a Melchizedek figure bypasses standard jurisdictional control entirely. They become practically unmanipulatable by standard systemic forces.
Section 4. The Melchizedek cloister. Okay, so the Voyager's material is notoriously dense. Honestly, it reads a bit like a mystic trying to write a Dell computer manual. But the sources give us a brilliant way to decode it. The text uses a strict hardware metaphor, systematically replacing floaty spiritual words with hardcore computer science, engineering, and genetic terminology. To get it, you really just have to treat the text like a self-contained technical manual.
Just look at how this translation works. In this framework, a soul isn't some vague vapor. Functionally, it's an organized energy blueprint, a morphogenetic field. Spiritual evolution isn't about just being a good person, it's quite literally DNA activation, which is like plugging more RAM and data tracks directly into your biological motherboard. And heaven? Well, that becomes literal structural physics, a 15-dimensional time matrix.
So, when we hit a super dense, jargon-heavy sentence like, the Melchizedek cloister is restoring the Christos blueprint via the halls of Amenti, we can actually read the code. It simply translates to, a specialized Guardian task force is using a physical Stargate network to clean up corrupted Earth signals and restore humanity's original uncorrupted software program. See? The logic is remarkably consistent once you know the definitions.
And the crazy part is the vocabulary itself is part of the technology. The text reveals that specific arrangements of syllables aren't just there to communicate data to your intellect. They are engineered to act as phonetic keys, tonal vibrations that sound ancient and incredibly authoritative. They're literally designed to bypass your standard logic and interact directly with your biology to trigger latent genetic memory.
Section 5. The record-keeper function.
Activating as a Melchizedek isn't some random event. It's highly procedural. Based on the source analysis, it happens in 3 specific steps. Step 1. An artifact, like say a miraculous metal, acts as a physical key that triggers a massive internal frequency shock. Step 2 is systemic intuition. That's where you receive direct holistic data blocks instantly, totally bypassing the need for years of normal study. And step 3 is stabilized integration, where the person's biology adopts to ground this massive data download into highly functional, permanent sanity.
There's a really vital perspective we have to understand here, though. When someone experiences this sudden influx of higher dimensional data, it causes an intense shock to the nervous system. To standard human medical frameworks, this massive energetic recalibration looks exactly like an acute psychological breakdown. But the ultimate goal of the Melchizedek agenda isn't erratic behavior at all. It's the permanent, sane grounding of a higher dimensional blueprint right here into 3D reality.
In the specific lore of the Voyager's texts, the Melchizedek cloister is actually designated as an ancient race of record keepers. Their primary cosmic job is to securely internalize massive amounts of systemic data. But, as you can imagine, holding that much data requires incredibly strict mental and physical discipline to prevent a total system overload.
To successfully hold this mental database, the record keeper uses practical, physical, 3D anchors in their daily life. The source text gives this brilliant example. A user literally writing down their internal armor and conceptual abilities on paper and keeping them securely in a physical card box. It's such a simple, real-world action, but it perfectly replicates the esoteric mechanic of grounding vast, abstract higher-dimensional data by tying it to a singular, physical template.
And that brings us to the end of our structural breakdown. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. Consider how viewing your own daily friction, family chaos, or institutional challenges through the lens of a trans-systemic architect might completely reshape your reality. If you operated outside the jurisdiction of the chaos around you as a true sovereign commander of your own truth, how much more effectively could you navigate the world? It's a profound framework to explore. Thanks for learning with me today.